Now I request Professor Ishan Sharma from IIT Kanpur. Professor Ishan Sharma?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Professor Sharma. Please.
Okay, thank you. So it's exciting to participate in this discussion on innovative mechanisms like the SPV that aim to position India as a global leader in defense production. So we have been hearing many excellent ideas from industry leaders. So for a change of pace, as an academic and a researcher and an engineer, I will try and convey my thoughts about how this newly envisaged financial and organizational structure of the SPV can help invigorate and nurture long-term productive research and innovation in defense-specific areas in institutes of higher education, because they are supposed to be one of the partners of an SPV, possibly. So the first point has actually been raised earlier by the Defense Secretary and also by Lieutenant General Dayal, and that has to do with the building in competitiveness and also efficiency in the SPV. Separately, I think there is also a need to have redundancy in defense R&D and production. So this will compensate in case one of the partners is unable to function or we have to scale up production or research in any area. So this done by allowing multiple companies who bring in the same expertise to be partners in an SPV, and you can also allow multiple research groups to participate in the SPV. And over time, we can outline several checkpoints and evaluations which can be done, and then some of the companies or some of the research groups may be, curtailed. Their participation may be curtailed. So this will, I think, bring in a lot of excellent competition and urgency in the delivery of the aims of the SPV. And something similar is actually carried out in other countries. And I guess the example is Russia, actually. And what they do is they do not allow funding. They do not allow all partners, especially the company partners, to be involved in all parts of the goals of the SPV. Example, design and development, production, supply, maintenance. These are not given right at the beginning. You give them design and development, you look at their performance, then you give them production, then supply, and then maintenance. So all phases are not provided right at the beginning. So this will, I think, bring in excellent competition and increase efficiency at both ends, the research end and the delivery end. The second point I have to make is actually coming from, because I'm an academic, and that has to do with participation or creation of SPVs in low technology readiness level and futuristic defense projects. And this has been highlighted by several speakers, and even Dr. Bava Kalyani also mentioned the importance of futuristic technologies. So let me give you a quick example. About 10 years ago, the Army expressed an interest in smart artillery shells that can fly themselves to a target. But this is not an active R&D area in India, and it will require almost completely fresh development. It's not incremental research. And for this, you require sustained funding over several years before even a low fidelity prototype can be developed. So this is something which is ideally suited to be incubated in an academic environment. But for that to be sustainable, it has to have sustained funding over a reasonable period. And then it can be evaluated for further funding towards a high fidelity prototype. Now, for this development to be efficient and effective, it should be partnered with an agency like DRDO that can help in testing. For example, ammunitions are not something that will be welcomed within an education institute. It may not even be permitted to bring in propellant fuels and things like that. Also, it will be useful if companies which are ultimately going to be responsible for manufacturing can be associated right at the early stages, so that they can build in capacities and advise us of how these subsystems will be created. But how do such efforts, which sometimes arise from academia, how can they get evaluated, approved, funded, and partnered? And this is where I believe SPVs can really help. The challenge I see is that it is kind of a natural human tendency to go for more mature technologies, even if you are trying to create an SPV. We are generally going to be risk averse. So Similarly, an agency like DRDO is continuously addressing Army concerns, Navy concerns, and this may just be one other item on their list, and they may not be picking it up for development right at the beginning. And this is exactly what happened with the smart artillery shell. The group at IIT Kanpur, which got together to try and do this, they have tried to pursue this for better part of a decade, and so far there seems to be no success there. So I see that there is a clear need to kind of water research at the roots, not just at the shoots. And I'm hoping that the SPVs can develop mechanisms to do that. And towards this end, I have two thoughts, which you may consider. One is to increase the benefit of participation in greenfield projects. And this may be done by providing financial exemptions, exit clauses, increased downstream benefits, openness to the possibility of failure. And in case multiple company partners are allowed, the companies that enter the project at an early stage can be given some preference downstream. And this is something that can be considered. So those 2 points I have made. I'll make an additional point, which is based on my experience elsewhere. Fraunhofer institutes in Germany, they were designed to bridge research and product development. So they undertake research of direct utility. But they also work with academia for cutting edge research and for industry for applied research and production. And their funding is derived in part or wholly from these projects. So this keeps them hungry and active. And is it possible to formulate some SPVs associated with government defense research labs along these models, so that their running expenses perhaps are obtained from projects that they pick up and deliver? And these projects will naturally link academics and companies, and they will be in the area of the R&D labs. So this is just an idea. So I think I will close. Sorry.
Yeah, I said thank you.
Okay. Oh, if I have 10 more seconds, I'd like to make a final point.
Okay, please.
Okay. The final point I had was about manpower. It's not really connected directly to economics in some sense, but again, it is. So every year, about 8 lakh students from educational institutes travel abroad and spend about 45,000 crores as fees to foreign universities. One of the reasons identified for them doing this is that they are unable to find opportunities in their core engineering areas. And SPVs can perhaps be a vehicle for this. We will retain engineers we train in engineering as engineers. They won't shift to banking sectors. Not that the sector is bad or anything, but it's just that's not what they're trained for. So if SPVs can design career paths for students who work on projects connected to that SPV right from the beginning when they were in their academic environment, then this student will be retained as an engineer in his area of expertise, and the defense industry will benefit by receiving a trained professional. So finally, I'm done, and I would like to end by saying that as a researcher interested in military engineering in India, this call for Atmanirbhar Bharat really touches me at a very core level, and I've been honored to be part of this discussion. Okay.